Hi and welcome back. So in this video we're going to make our models match the new user flow that is going to be coming through our web API, web application, into our API and then into these models. So evidently when we're using a web API, the user is going to be on the browser. They're going to be filling in a form with the post content, for example, and then they're going to press submit, and then that data is going to come through our API into our model, and then our model is going to write it in the database. So obviously our model will not be asking the user for any input at this stage. The user will have already written that on the website or on the mobile app. So we don't want to be asking the user for this data at that stage. Instead, this method will require the data as a parameter and will give that through the API. So title, content, date. And now, if date is not set, then we want to use UTC now, which is the current date. So what we'll do is we'll give date a default value of the date UTC now. And if not, then we'll use the specific dates that the user sent us, or the API sent this model rather. So we no longer need that either. And then this is all we need. We'll pass the new post a title, content, and a date, and then we'll create it under this blog. The rest of the methods are actually valid for our API format. To get all the posts for a specific blog, we'll simply call that. To save to MongoDB, we'll just use that method. It's fairly simple. To get the JSON back and to get the blog from MongoDB, we're also going to be able to call that through our API because it doesn't depend on the user giving us any data. Okay, let's go into the post and see what we have to change, if anything. And we can see that the blog post gets initialized with all these details. And that's fine. Save to Mongo will be fairly simple. The user will simply write something, and then the API will call this save to Mongo and insert the new post. So that's not a problem. The JSON will simply return a representation of this post. That's nothing that the user has to interact with at this stage, at least. And the from Mongo and from blog are methods that the user does not need to give us anything for. So we don't have to modify them just yet either. So we can see now that the blog and the post are two models that are essentially stateless. We can't do anything in them except save them or get them. So we're not asking the user to interact with the model while the model is doing things. So that's fine because the user is going to be giving us the data before we get to this layer. The user is in fact going to be giving us the data before we get to the API layer. The user is going to be writing in the website. The website is then going to send the data to the API. The API is going to send it to this model, and the model is going to save to the database. So as long as we are expecting data in this model, then we're fine. Okay, so what else? We're going to have to create a user model as well. So the user model is simply going to be something to let our users log in and register and create new posts and things like that. So let's get started with that. An init method. Then we're going to need a method to get from Mongo. But instead of calling it from Mongo, I'm going to call it get by email. And then I'm going to create another one, get by ID, which is going to, these two methods are going to allow us to get the users by filtering through email address or by filtering through ID. Then I'm going to check login valid. This is going to be a method that will check whether a user email matches the password they sent us. So this is necessary so that this method will essentially check that the login that the user sent us, the email and password combination, is a valid username and password combination or not. And then we're going to have something for register. We're going to have something for login. Notice this is not checking whether the login is valid, but actually logging the user in. And then we're going to have something like get blogs. And that's probably it for now. If we do end up having more things that we'll need, we'll simply add them in. So in the next video, we're going to be writing some of these methods. So I'll see you in the next one.